Some people in Washington are not too happy about UAP transparency, Congress in particular. So they held a press conference yesterday. Representative Tim Burchett, Eric Burlison, Paulina Luna, Matt Gaetz, Jared Moskowitz, and more to talk about the pushback they face to bring UAP transparency and disclosure out to the public, to us, right? And they also dig in a little bit into the different pieces of UAP legislation, UFO legislation that's out there. The Schumer Amendment that everyone's been pushing since July, and this new recently released Burchett Amendment. So let's just dive in and get into this, y'all.
In here, this is a very important issue, and this shows with the amount of coverage that we have today. I'm Tim Burchett, Congressman from Tennessee. I've studied this issue for quite some time, and honestly, it just kind of fell in my lap up here. I believe our country, at least since 1947, has had a long history of covering this issue up. And this year, we were finally able to hold a legitimate hearing in July with credible witnesses who testified under oath to what they'd seen and experienced. The hearing this year faced a lot of pushback from the intelligence community, members of Congress, and of course our friends at the Pentagon. The intelligence community shut down an amendment I tried to include in the FAA reauthorization bill, and basically it would just require the Federal Aviation Administration to report UAP sightings by commercial pilots to Congress. I was told by the whip that that bill was killed by the intelligence community, and I corrected him and I said, "You mean the intelligence committee?" And he said, "No, the intelligence community."
So this is not the same bill that I was just talking about. This is a separate bill that he's talking about that got killed. And he's saying not by a committee, not by a small group of people, but by the community. So the entire intelligence community, right? All the different branches, all the different acronyms, then three-letter organizations, all basically as a whole, just like don't want this stuff. Don't want anything to do with UAPs in law. The pushback is unreal, y'all. If there's nothing to hide, why are you trying to hide something? Okay, it's red flags. It just makes people want to look further and deeper, y'all. Dig deeper, right?
And as they say, when you're over the target, you get the most fire. And it just, like I said, it would just require the FAA administration to report UAP sightings by commercial pilots to Congress. Again, they spend a whole hell of a lot of time and effort and money to tell us something exists that does not exist. And so, fortunately, another amendment I introduced this year, it was to increase transparency. And honestly, this is what this whole issue is about. It's about transparency. On the issue, was included in this year's NDAA Act. It required the Department of Defense to declassify any documents and records relating to publicly known sightings of UAPs or UFOs that do not compromise the national security of the United States. It all comes down to one word, and that word is transparency. I've been briefed on things I can't talk about in public because it's considered classified. But why are we classifying so much about this, especially if the information doesn't jeopardize national security, and we have departments telling us that they do not exist? We are here today to discuss that. I've got several other notes, but I'll skip over them because I know y'all probably want to hear from the folks behind me. We had some great witnesses, as I stated before, but these folks want to talk about more of the transparency and some of the pushback we're receiving from those aforementioned groups. And with that, I'll turn.
So what do y'all think of Burchett and his new legislation, right, that Matt Gaetz is probably going to talk about here? I'm watching it for the first time with y'all, by the way. So what do y'all think of Tim Burchett's new legislation that he put out? Do y'all like that over the Schumer? Do y'all understand it completely? Are we a little confused on what the differences are really between them?
Over to my dear friend.
Thank you all for being here today. It is unacceptable that any mid-level unelected bureaucrat staffers can tell members of Congress that we are not allowed to access information about UAPs. Let me be clear that we are the representatives of the elected, or that of people that sent us here to do the right thing. Unelected bureaucrats do not get to say what we can and cannot see. We've had 3-star generals tell us that we did not have authorized access to this information. But yet, how do you expect us to continue to send taxpayer money to fund government projects if you're not even allowing us to see what those projects are? And I say that because, as some of you know, we have been consistently hearing that we do not have the authorized clearances, again, by people not elected to office. Let me repeat this: the people's representatives, members of Congress who sit on judiciary, armed services, and the oversight committees are being denied access to this information. But if we do not have the clearance, who does? Does this sound like a truly free country? Referencing Grush, I know there was many questions in regards to what was happening with his current IG report and whether or not we were able to receive access to that information. We were previously denied this. We have now received permission from him directly to go back into the SCIF to review that information. But in my short time in office, it has become very clear and evident that there is an apparent an orchestrated attempt to deny us this access,
Pardon me, y'all.
and it appears that that is coming from the intelligence community. We have a rampant...
So that's interesting with Grush. This Grush and getting him in a skiff is like the biggest debacle of all time, right? Like this idea that we cannot get David Grush in a skiff. And a skiff can be anywhere, y'all. I've covered that on the channel. A skiff could be an entire building to one room, a closet. You can turn a place, a hotel room into a skiff. I mean, they could go to David Grush's house and transform one of his rooms in his house into a skiff and have the conversation there. So the skiff it can be anywhere. It's not really that big a deal, the skiff. So, but why we can't get him in one is beyond me.
Overclassification problem. We need the UAP Disclosure Act, which I would ask that if you see to my left, you have Representative Burchett's language, and it should be added. As we know, we do not want to go forward with fake promises.
So that's interesting. They want to add that to Schumer's amendment, as opposed to it be separate.
To the American people. I'd also like to speak on the issue that some members have stonewalled our efforts to get transparency, and this is also unacceptable. No one member is above another, and the American people deserve to know as much about the existence in this universe as possible. They certainly have a right to know about whether or not if their safety is threatened, and most especially when it comes to our men and women defending us in the skies. This is a simple answer. Stop barring us from the truth.
Good morning, good afternoon, I should say now.
This is Jared Moskowitz.
So I'm happy to be here with the folks that have really been talking about this since the beginning of...
So Jared Moskowitz, Representative Luna, and Tim Burchett, they really were the three that got a lot of this going, okay, since this summer and even before, right, getting the hearing and all that. So shout out, props to them.
Congress. This is not something that I thought I would get involved in when I first came to Congress. But quite frankly, the reason why I got involved is as we started asking questions, legitimate questions, the pushback we got is what interests me. Every time we pulled a thread and we stumbled on something, it seemed that we would get stonewalled. And so, you know, NASA has stated that the term UAP does not necessarily imply extraterrestrial origin, which means we could be making these things domestic. And so, look, if these are advanced technologies, we're not interested in hurting national security, but we are interested in knowing what these UAPs are. You have the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office that was in the...
Again, exactly. They could easily just say to the Congress, hey, listen, this is our advanced tech flying around. Just let it go. They don't have to explain what it is, give details, but just say that, and it could just, that's what these UAP are. Even tell the American people that, yeah, this is our stuff. It's just flying around. It's our stuff. But they don't. Right?
NDAA in 2022. And they have said, so the government has said, there's 366 reports of UAPs. A number of them they will not classify. They cannot explain to us. Some they say are weather balloons, some they say is clutter, some they say are other anomalies, but then there are a bunch that they don't explain. And I think you see not just a bipartisan approach here in the House, but you see a bicameral approach with Senator Chuck Schumer and what he's trying to accomplish. And that really just is transparency. I think the American people have a simple question, which is, if none of this exists, if this is all false, why at every turn are there people trying to stop the transparency and the disclosure? Why are folks who are in charge of committees, whether they are in the House or in the Senate, opposed to this disclosure? And it's that point alone that piques the interest, right? And that's really what we're about. This is not about whether there are aliens or there are not aliens, right? Those are questions that I think remain unanswered, right? It's not whether there is stuff we have found here or not found here. Those questions remain unanswered. The problem is when we ask those questions, right, rather than being provided information that would prove it false, they stonewall the information. And that is what piques the interest. Thank you.
And we are here today
Exactly.
because all of the whistleblowers, the hearings, the investigations, the discussions, the work that we have done have culminated in a negotiation that is happening in real time right now over the National Defense Authorization Act, a piece of legislation I care deeply about as a member of the House Armed
This is
Services.
Matt Gaetz, for anyone that doesn't know.
In that negotiation, we are fortunate that the amendment Congressman Burchett offered to the House version of the NDAA provides a beachhead for us to be able to get the answers and to be able to demand the transparency that is necessary. It is insufficient, though, to seek this transparency from the Department of Defense alone. We have to have cooperation so that Title 50 authorities through the intelligence community are also subject to review. That the FAA, the NSA, the FBI, even state and local authorities that have information are able to have that cataloged, assessed, and then put out before the public. It is my belief that the Burchett Amendment is the strongest position when coupled with the additional authorities and additional agencies that I've just mentioned in order to be able to get to that productive result. Unfortunately, we have members of the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee who right now are frustrating the effort that we are putting forward in order to be able to obtain the information and to move forward. I think it is productive that Senator Schumer has engaged on this issue. He's not an insignificant person in this town, but I am concerned about embracing a disclosure paradigm that mirrors the JFK assassination disclosure paradigm. I don't know that there are any Americans who would view the JFK assassination disclosure paradigm as some sort of vaulted standard. Time and again, we've seen that system fail. I also don't believe that, pursuant to the Schumer language, we would have to wait 25 years in order to get this information. 25 years is a long time when you consider what Mr. Burchett said about the lack of veracity that the government has provided to the people up until this point. And so we're here to call for the most inclusive, most robust provisions possible to be included in the NDAA. We don't want to see a lot of log jams created. And in the event that there's any designation of a national security concern regarding disclosure, we believe that this information can no longer be siloed with the entities that have frustrated disclosure. That there should be broader briefings to members of Congress, that the Oversight Committee, which many of my colleagues here serve on, should be receiving those briefings, that the Armed Services Committee should be receiving those briefings, and it should not just be the fiefdom of the Intelligence Committee and the intelligence community. And if we achieve that objective, I think we can start to restore some of the trust the public has. But as we work through the finer points of that legislation, we felt it was important today to come forward and express where the log jams exist, where the opportunities lay before us, and we will pursue those with great vigor. I also wanted to specifically thank House Armed Services Chairman Mike Rogers. He allowed the Burchett Amendment to go on the bill without objection, and I think he is to be commended for that. And also when my colleagues, Ms. Luna and Mr. Burchett and I, were at an Air Force base and were told by Air Force officials that we weren't allowed to see information that whistleblowers had expressed to us existed, it was in fact Chairman Rogers himself who personally engaged with the Office of the Secretary of Defense and gave us the opportunity to view the images that were taken by pilots of some of these unidentified aerial phenomenon. So work to be done, but we hope that this gives you clarity as to what our goals are, how the scope and depth of the mission ahead.
That's interesting, right? So Mike Rogers is getting backing from Matt Gaetz. What do y'all think of Matt Gaetz? You know, the feedback I got from the video I put up yesterday of Matt Gaetz' tweet, people on Reddit and stuff, people do not like Matt Gaetz. So curious what y'all think of him and him getting involved with this.
You know, I came to Congress thinking that this place was dysfunctional, and I had a general idea that the bureaucracy would try to block us. But seeing it from the inside, I can tell you it's worse than you can imagine. Everything that you suspect about the federal bureaucracy is doing, they're almost certainly doing. And it's nearly impossible to get a straight answer. So you all know my perspective, but at the end of the day, I think the taxpayers deserve to know where their money is being spent. The question we have before us is that, are we in an environment where the republic is being threatened by individuals and by people who are not elected to be able to withhold information from the public? And so I want to applaud the efforts of this group and the folks standing behind me, especially Mr. Burchett, who, as he said, it's time for transparency. It's time for Tim's amendment to be passed, and as well as the Schumer amendment.
Both? We're going to pass them both? What are we talking about?
While they may not be perfect in their current forms, it gets us in a better direction. And it's my belief that both of them will actually put us in a better place.
What's hilarious is that we've been fighting for UAP legislation forever, and it finally starts to happen, and what becomes the fight? No, my UFO law. No, my UFO law. No, mine. No, mine. Mine's better. Mine will get us to disclosure, right? There will be a fight over disclosure. Do you think that potentially the reason we don't have disclosure is just because there are people fighting over how to give it to us? Not if they should or can they, but just how to give it to us. It's like two chefs fighting in the kitchen over how to present their, 7-course meal to their guest and never serving any food. The food's back there. It's waiting. The just chefs can't agree on what, order the courses to go in, how to plate it, right? All of that. Sorry if y'all are watching and don't know this about me. I'm an ex-chef, ran a food truck in Austin for 5 years and catering. I've been in restaurants, whatever, long time before all this podcasting. So, that's what it sounds like, right? That becomes an issue. That is not good, right? Because we already have enough roadblocks. We don't need to create our own roadblocks, right? It's like UFO players that are out there, right? Ufologists and UFO researchers and UFO journalists and all this. They don't all get along, right? They all have different sources. They all say different things. They all know different things. No, it's aliens are this. No, aliens are this. No, the craft are this. No, the craft are this. No, this happened. No, this didn't happen. No, that's bullshit. No, this isn't bullshit. It's all the fighting is like on our own sideline, right? We're basically losing the battle ourselves in a lot of ways.
I don't think that they have to be mutually exclusive. At the end of the day, if we want transparency, we should be going after every avenue that we can to get the information to the American people. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you all. This is about account.
Again, I don't know. Whoa, what just happened here?
Of another, and the American people deserve.
Again, I don't know who this is.
3 military intelligence officials swore when giving those statements. Foreign objects are buzzing around in our airspace. and Joe Biden's over 30 generals have not only been silent on the issue, but yet have yet to play ball with Congress, not to mention American farmers.
Okay. I already don't like this guy. Joe Biden this, okay, don't start, dude. Don't make this political, bro. Okay? I don't know about you. I don't talk about politics on this channel because I hate politics. I don't like the left. I don't like the right. I don't like labels. All right? I don't like Democrat. I don't like Republican. I don't like anything. It's all BS. Right? So this guy better not start giving it this political angle. He's sort of new to this, right? Is he jumping in and trying to make this like a, right, this political thing that he can get that clip on? Jeez. This is not a good sign.
Are seeing intelligence aircraft above their fields. There have been 144 reported sightings of these objects that we know of, and the DoD is more concerned about pronouns and woke agendas
Oh my
than informing
God.
Congress.
Dude, don't bring up woke agendas and this, that. Don't start, dude. I don't know. What do y'all think? Am I overreacting? I don't think so. Again, we don't need that nonsense. We don't need either. We don't need anti-woke and woke, either of that, right? Again, there's no need to add more roadblocks, add more nonsense, add more confusion. The reason we're not finding out about, the real story about UFOs and ET is not woke agenda. It's not Joe Biden. Like, I hope they don't go down this path. Because you've got Jared Moskowitz over here. This is you didn't hear him coming in and talking about the Republicans and Trump and this, right? Like, don't do this, dude. I don't know if this guy will be invited back.
And having accountability and having transparency.
I don't like him already. I just something about this guy that just has like slick written all over him, right? Stuff slick. He looks like Tanner. What's that guy's name from Happy Gilmore, the golfer? Tanner something or whatever. I don't know. Doesn't he look like that? Yeah, dude.
In a moment when American supply chains are broken, our border is overrun, and Chinese
Dude, get to the point.
ownership in American institutions has skyrocketed. American defenses against unknown aircraft are paramount. Because of this bipartisan effort in the House and now the Senate, intelligence agencies are now beginning to tout exploratory measures to investigate UAPs. But this needs to be an expeditious process, not 25 years. That's unacceptable. It should be noted that the Kennedy deadline has been blown through a couple of times. The information released has been less than full disclosure. And so whether it's little green men, American technology, or worse, technology from the CCP, we need to know. There needs to be better cooperation amongst agencies, and Congress has a right, an obligation to know. This is about transparency. This is about accountability. The truth is out there, and the American people are ready.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Dude, that guy, I don't trust that guy. Man, I already don't trust politicians, even all of these. No offense. I just don't, But that guy just seems slicker than slick, man. I don't like that guy. I hope he is not going to be a part of this movement. I don't like him at all.
So two, on the amendment, Congressman, that you have there, it's a page and a half. The Senate version of that is 64 pages. I'm just wondering, are there other things that you're going to be hoping to do? They have a lot of elements, like the eminent domain thing or whatever, or is that it on your end?
I would like to be, that would be it. I think we've overcomplicated the issue. 64 pages, and Matt alluded to the 25 years. I mean, good gosh, you modeled something after the Kennedy assassination.
Again, they've known about this since July when Chuck Schumer put this in. They've been supporting it publicly forever. You know what I think happened? Gaetz, some other people got in and got in their ears and said to Burchett, this isn't going to work. You need to make something else. Or we can't be colluding with Chuck Schumer. Something's not right here. Again, you had Carl Nell and David Grush help put together that language that is the Schumer Amendment. So now Burchett isn't supporting that. It's too overcomplicated. I don't get, something is not adding up, y'all. There's something behind the scenes. There's some fighting behind the scenes, y'all. I'm telling you, there's people getting in people's ear. I guarantee you it was Gaetz who got in the ear of Burchett. Some other people, because why all of a sudden is Burchett, like, is it in addition to? Because you just had Eric Burlison said both. Now you got Burchett like arguing against it, right? No, put mine in, not that one. Well, which is it? Again, I don't think they even know, and that's disconcerting. So, look, we're not going to watch this whole thing. This is the Q&A part. I'll let y'all watch the rest of this. I'll put a link to the full. Is another 15 minutes or so. I'll put a link to this so y'all can watch it yourself. But what did y'all think of the press conference? What did y'all think of what's going on? What did y'all think of some of my comments? I don't know. I'm confused. Here's where I am. I'm confused, flustered, maybe a little angry, right? But just confused overall. Again, it's like we're getting down. It's fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. We're down by 2 points. We're driving. We're in the 20. We're in the red zone, and we're trying to score a touchdown, and we're on the sidelines fighting over what play to run. And so we let time run out. We get delay of game penalties because we don't run a play. That's where I feel like we're at, and that's worrisome. Again, the NDAA is supposed to be signed this month at the end of the month, right, by President Joe Biden, the National Defense Authorization Act. These people have had months to look at Chuck Schumer's and make changes and publicly talk about it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just bring this amendment up. That's 1 page, mind you. So I don't know what's going on, y'all. I'm just confused. So tell me. Help me understand in the comments here. I mean, it seems like we're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen because I don't know what the next step is, honestly. And at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want. So not only do they have opposition from the intelligence community, they've got opposition from amongst each other now. All right, y'all. This is Patrick with VetEd. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Hit that like button if you haven't already. That really helps the algorithm. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, guys. We are growing fast. We put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, USA. Some news. We got a new website coming. We got a Patreon membership that we're putting together that's going to be coming. We're going to be offering more stuff. Specifically, what I'm excited about is doing a monthly Zoom call with Patreon members privately, where we can all discuss this topic and all get together and hang out. I would love to hear personally from some of y'all so we can hang out once a month. Be really cool. So anyway, we've got some stuff coming, some merch, T-shirts. So we're going to keep it, keep it cool, if you will. So yes, very excited for some things that are coming, and thank you guys for the growth. All right, as always, hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you on the next video. I'm Patrick. Remember, every day's a gift. Peace, y'all.